What up, my fellow Knicks fans? This is your guy Marcellus Ease, and don't panic quite yet. Now, David Fizdale has shaken up the lineups, and the brand new lineup the Knicks are going with right now has lasted about 3 games against Golden State, against Brooklyn, and also against the Pacers. We have just about enough evidence to look at, see what positives and negatives are going on with this new starting lineup. But one thing I can say, it is keeping guys hungry. I mean, it's nobody's guaranteed minutes here, even though dudes are starting, and even off the bench, dudes aren't guaranteed minutes. So dudes will be battling each other in practice and on the court, and at the same time is going to keep fans interested because guys will be hungry out there. Now, we can see from the new starting lineup, guys like Dotson and Von Lee are actually hungry and they're doing their thing. The defensive intensity has increased. Even in the game against the Golden State Warriors, they actually only made 3 more 3-pointers than we did that whole game. We actually kept them on lock as far as 3-point shooting. But one thing with this lineup, we are having issues, and this is throughout the whole season. We are having issues closing out these games in the fourth quarter. The games in Golden State and the game against the Pacers, we actually had a breakdown in the fourth quarter. Offensively, we were stagnant, and things just wasn't going our way. Frank Ntilikina, in the game against Brooklyn, he showed flashes of him gaining more confidence, taking the ball to the rack, getting passes, getting assists, steals. Frank is showing that he's kind of coming into his own. And then Kanter was more accepting of his role coming off the bench. Like I said, in the game against Brooklyn, Kanter quickly double-double. Now, in the most recent game, the Knicks did have a breakdown in the fourth quarter, but there were also positives to take in. Tim Hardaway Jr. was doing his thing this whole game. He's one of the reasons why our 3-point shooting percentage was pretty high in this game. He kept us in this game. There was a point where he was like 7 for 8 from making 3-pointers. So with Tim Hardaway doing that well in the first half, we were actually shooting 47% from 3. And once again, like I said, the Knicks were holding the Pacers to 23% shooting from 3. And this is a theme, as you can see with this brand new lineup, this is a theme that repeats in the past 3 games. The Knicks are holding their opponents to a lower 3-point shooting percentage, especially in the first half. But it seems like in the fourth quarter, they allow their opponents to get going, and by the time the game ends, their opponent's 3-point shooting percentage increases, and that has to do again with the fourth quarter. It seems like a fourth quarter mental breakdown a little bit. Now against the Pacers, we also seen Von Lee and Dotson be more assertive in these games, especially Von Lee. Von Lee rebounding. This guy can even bring the ball up, and he can shoot 3-pointers, which isn't bad. He's pretty versatile. Good thing about Von Lee and Mitchell Robinson starting is that it allows Kanter to go into the bench. And I know a lot of people don't like Kanter coming off the bench. He is kind of a fan favorite. But one thing about Kanter, last year he did finish at the bottom among NBA centers as far as defensive efficiency. And also in Kanter's history, while he was playing for Oklahoma City, even though they paid him a lot of money, they only allowed him to play 15 to 20 minutes a game because he was a defensive liability. So he's always been like this throughout his whole career. So it's not kind of a bad call on David Fizdale's part, but also David Fizdale is trying to leave room for these younger guys to grow. Against the Pacers, unfortunately, everything was left on Tim Hardaway Jr.'s back. He scored 37 points, but guys like Enes Kanter and Trey Burke didn't really do anything. Alonzo Trier stepped up. He's disappeared the past couple games, but he has stepped up and he dropped 14 points off the bench in this game. But in this game, it was pretty much Trier, Dotson, and Von Lee. And these guys are supposed to be like kind of our 4th, 5th, 6th options as far as scoring. Trey Burke was nowhere to be found. Same thing for Kanter, same thing for Frank. They were all gone. And this is one of the reasons why, the scoring kind of got stagnant. And Frank, I don't know what happened in the fourth quarter, but he stopped penetrating. It was just the usual bring the ball up the court. Once you pass the half point, throw a pass. And it's sort of like, the triangle system Phil Jackson wanted to run. Just make that first pass as soon as you hit that half court. And that's clearly not, the system that we're trying to run. There was a couple of times when Fizdale did call timeout and he was yelling at Frank about that. But overall, 3 games in, we've seen the Knicks with their starting lineup. The defensive intensity has increased, but the only thing, a second scoring option, is right now really needed because it seems like things are a bit inconsistent, especially if guys off the bench don't really do anything. Some of the starters are not showing that they can consistently at least be like around that 15 point per game guy. Or, you know, kind of like help out Tim Hardaway a bit, because Tim Hardaway is clearly eating up most of the usage. He's probably going to average about 20 points a game. We need a consistent second option as far as scoring, besides Trier, besides Hazonia. You know, guys like Trey Burke and Cantor is going to have to step that up, especially if they want to get their starting minutes back. They're going to have to be more consistent, because the guys that are starting before them, they're a lot younger and a lot inexperienced. But hey, we'll see what happens. Moutier is supposed to be coming back soon. You know, he's been suited up, but he's been sitting at the end of the bench. I know Fizdale is going to find a way in this rotation to insert him. Things are probably going to change again. Based off the Indiana game, the way we failed to close out once again, things are bound to change up. Fizdale made a comment. He said that he's probably going to change the lineups every 5 games or so. You know, he's still mixing and matching. But one thing we could say for sure is that the lineup with Frank, Hardaway, Dotson, Von Lee, and Mitchell Robinson, it's definitely, the defensive intensity is definitely up. Not having Enes Kanter in the starting lineup, it definitely raises our defensive intensity. Next up, the Knicks are going to head out on the road against the Dallas Mavericks and also against the Washington Wizards. Good thing is they're not on a back-to-back. The Wizards are struggling. The Dallas Mavericks, they have a little bit of injuries, but nothing major. Those definitely are winnable games for us. But we'll see what happens. You guys leave your comments below and stay safe. Peace.